Hello, you're listening to the OmniTalk Fast 5, brought to you in partnership with Microsoft, the A&M Consumer and Retail Group, Takeoff, Sezzle, and Silk. Headline number 5. McDonald's is testing a new drive-thru concept in Texas, Chris. According to Restaurant Business, we're going to have to go back down to Dallas-Fort Worth area.
I know, right? Everything's in Dallas. I told
know.
that to somebody yesterday.
The centerpiece of the new McDonald's store concept is a conveyor system that delivers food to a mobile order-ahead lane. The concept store also includes a pickup shelf for customers who want to come in and get their takeout orders, designated spaces in and out of the restaurant for delivery drivers, and self-order kiosks that accept both cash and credit. And of course, Chris, it still has the old-fashioned, one-of-a-kind drive-through lane also. Chris, what do you think about this new McDonald's? Are you going to be, like, hitting up the Golden Arches in textile now? Or what's going on?
Well, for those wondering, before I answer that question, it's a David O. Russell movie, and it stars Christian Bale, not Brad Pitt. Sorry.
Yeah.
But so to answer your question, well, and for this story, I had a big aha this week.
Okay.
Honestly, I think concepts like this are going to make more and more sense. We've talked about them a lot on the show already. And because many of these operations, particularly the quick serve restaurants, and I would lump grocers into this. This is why I thought your point in the beginning was right on. Because they have to innovate. Macroeconomic challenges around staffing and wage inflation are so high right now that they're not going to leave outs for the business model, especially if you're trying to give people e-commerce-like options, which are more expensive.
Yep.
So companies like McDonald's and others need and have to make these concepts work. They aren't just flash in the pan ideas anymore from the innovation teams that sit off the side and just play with and experiment with stuff. Sorry for the S drop, loyal listeners. Cover your ears, earmuffs. They're designed to have real operational benefits here, and I think that's important. So net, I love it, and I hope we start to see more of it because I think consumers will gravitate towards it to them over time. You just have to keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean, Ricardo Belmar posted on this, and I was thinking the exact same thing too. But I don't know about you, but I've been surprised by how long the drive-through lines are. They've been astronomical the last couple of years. There's no reason to me why. We need to make fast food fast again, and this is the way to do it.
Yep.
You also need to be careful about margins in these food environments. And then we saw Starbucks, we're seeing Taco Bell, we're seeing now McDonald's. The more automation I am convinced in this area, the better. The more you can put automation in and then focus on who's handing off the bags, who's expo people who are getting the right things to the right people to make it a positive experience. I also don't think that, we're seeing a lot of are you going to build a mobile first store or are you going to build a dine-in store? McDonald's trying to make this decision. I wonder if in the long run, do you have to do one or the other? Could you just have a very small satellite in the parking lot that's doing the mobile orders, and then you have a separate? I know McDonald's is an important part of communities places too, so it makes sense to have the restaurant as well. But I don't know. I think this is just we're gonna see this blow up in the next year.
Yeah, the hard question to answer your point that you're making there is really the new store versus the retrofit. It always comes back to the retrofit solution, but you're not going to know that until you do the experimentation on the new builds, which is important. The other point I'd bring up here too, which gets back to the aha, is I think there's an important lesson on innovation here and how organizations try to go about innovation. The wrong approach, and you and I are victims of this from our days at Target, is having an innovation team. I kind of alluded to it before, but having an innovation team, and they're just off doing experiments. And every experiment is great, right? But it's not. And the key is actually the right approach is to devote your innovation to the problems that you need to solve and organizing your resources around them. So, like we've talked about on the show, theft. How are you going to solve the theft problem? How are you going to solve rising wage rates? How are you going to solve staffing issues? You can get a hell of a lot of innovation that actually works in the long run when you devote your resources that way and you create tiger teams like that to solve those problems. So that's my soapbox here to close out the show.
Yeah, I agree, Chris. Great point.